GSP, why is that fight not happening?
Well, it could be for two reasons. It's either that Jon Jones is using a strategy to have more money.
You can say GSP. Go for it. I'm not. Say what you want to say.
If he has no intention of coming back, that's not right. Make it happen or, get things moving.
I got no ego. I don't.
Yeah. I understand you don't want to talk about it. Do you believe that maybe outside of Jon Jones, you versus Tom is probably the biggest fight in this division?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Tom Aspinall has made it clear that he's no longer chasing the big fight. He's done waiting, done begging, and done playing the UFC's game of uncertainty. After months of circling a potential mega clash with Jon Jones, he has publicly stepped away from the idea, closing the door on what once seemed like the natural climax to his rise. It's no longer about the spectacle, the waiting games, or whatever Dana White may be planning behind the scenes. Aspinall is now fully focused on what's in front of him, defending his heavyweight title most likely against
Aspinall
Ciryl
is
Gane.
the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. What's the first step for him?
He's given the number one contender, Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane is somebody that's big heavyweight, that's very agile. I don't think Tom Aspinall gets rid of it right away like he has with other people. And I think that'll be a big indication if Jon Jones wants to come back and reclaim that bout once again.
I think you're absolutely right. Fight that makes sense. Tom Aspinall, Ciryl Gane. Let's make that happen. Ciryl Gane is... People forget how fantastic he is. A guy that can kind of float around the octagon, touch you, kick
The
you.
change in tone from Aspinall didn't surprise fans who followed the ongoing back and forth between him, the UFC, and Jon Jones. The pattern was all too familiar: a big promise, a teaser, followed by months of silence. For a while, the Brit played along, staying in the mix by answering questions about Jones and remaining tied to what was being hyped as the true heavyweight title showdown. But once Jones vacated the belt and Aspinall was officially recognized as the undisputed champion, he began to see the situation for what it truly was. Jon Jones, despite walking back his so-called retirement, still has no confirmed opponent, and the much-hyped UFC White House event potentially featuring Jones has only added more noise to a conversation that Aspinall now wants nothing to do
Jon
with.
Jones fan as anybody, and I've always defended he's not afraid of Tom. He's willing to fight anybody. It's hard to not fall into that narrative here, though. To me, fighting on the White House, that doesn't do it. But maybe I'm a different person. Maybe everybody looks at it different. For me, if you tell me they're going to have a fight at the White House, cool. All right, it'd be cool to do it. If not, whatever. A fight's a fight. Maybe John looks at it different.
He's redirecting his energy, and it's not just talk. His next opponent appears to be locked in: Ciryl Gane. It's a matchup that has been long discussed but never finalized, with Jailton Almeida now set to face Alexander Volkov at UFC 321 in Abu Dhabi on October 25th. The path is cleared for Gane to challenge Almeida was one of the few remaining contenders who could have stepped into a title fight, especially after calling out Aspinall back in June. But his announcement on X confirmed he's tied up. Volkov, currently ranked number 2, is also booked, which leaves Gane ranked just below Jon Jones and Aspinall as the only top-tier heavyweight, unbooked in the most logical next opponent.
That he thinks you should be careful. He thinks you should be careful what you wish for. He'll see you in Paris. How do you think you match up against Ciryl?
I better be careful, apparently. Yeah. I think I match up pretty well against him. I think I'm equally as fast as him. I move equally as well. The difference is I can grapple. I've got a lot of power. And I think that's pretty undeniable at this stage of my career. I've got a lot of knockouts on my record, mate. I have to touch you once.
It all makes sense, and they haven't held back. Reactions to Almeida's announcement were immediate and decisive, with some saying, "So this just about confirms Gane will be fighting for the title," while others added, "So Gane versus Aspinall is locked in." The buzz reflects what the matchmaking clearly suggests. Aspinall versus Gane feels inevitable. However, Gane's record remains controversial. He was last seen edging out a split decision win over Volkov at UFC 310, a result that many fans, and even UFC President Dana White, believed should have gone the other way. Prior to that, Gane had stopped Sergey Spivak to rebound from a humiliating first-round loss to Jon Jones in March 2023, a fight that lasted barely 2 minutes and left lingering doubts about his championship legitimacy. While many argue he hasn't done enough to earn another title shot so soon, timing and circumstances are on his side. He's the only top contender Aspinall hasn't finished. And with Almeida and Volkov now tied up, the heavyweight division's puzzle pieces seem to point directly at Gane as the next logical challenger.
Cyril, do you feel like because everyone in your division seems to be just talking about Jon and Tom, that you were being unfairly forgotten as one of the best in the world at your weight?
Yeah, that's okay. I'm okay with the situation. You see,
This comes as Jon Jones once again inserts himself back into the spotlight after previously retiring and vacating the title. Jones reversed course following behind-the-scenes conversations with Dana White and the UFC brass, and now the idea of headlining the 2026 UFC White House card has become his new motivation. He's expressed interest in fighting again potentially on that prestigious stage, and has even hinted at facing whoever holds the belt at that time. Naturally, this implies that a showdown with Aspinall could still happen, but Aspinall isn't waiting anymore. He's no longer holding his breath for Dana White or reshaping his career around whatever Jon Jones might or might
I'll
not
just come out and
do.
ask you. Do you think he's ducking Tom? Do you think he's ducking Tom Aspinall?
No. Jon Jones, I said it a million times, I'll say it again. He's never ducked anybody other than that one goofy time with the Chael Sonnen thing. Never ducked anybody. And, I think the reality is whatever changed his mind with this fight, I don't know, you'd have to ask him that. But, he's 38 years old, and I don't know.
Do you think if it was someone like Alex Pereira, he would fight them? And it's maybe Tom that he
I'll just
specifically
come
like
out
them?
and ask, do you think Jon Jones is ducking Tom Aspinall? No, as I've said a million times and will say again, Jon Jones has never ducked anyone except for that one strange moment with Chael Sonnen. Other than that, he's always taken on all challenges. What changed his mind about this particular fight, I can't say, you'd have to ask him. He's 38 years old, and who knows what's driving his decisions now. But let's be honest, if it was someone like Alex Pereira, would he take the fight? Is it specifically Aspinall he's avoiding? That question has started to echo more loudly, especially in light of Jones' recent comments. He's repeatedly said that all he ever really wanted was recognition, the belt, the respect, and the validation that he's the best heavyweight in the world. Now that he's achieved that, there's little incentive for him to chase a fighter who clearly has other priorities. Aspinall, on the other hand, is no longer willing to wait until 2026 for a fantasy event, no matter how historic it may sound. The White House card remains just that, a concept, with no official lineup or solid commitment. For Aspinall, it's time to fight, not sit on the
Why is that
sidelines.
fight not happening?
Well, it could be for two reasons. It's either that Jon Jones is using a strategy to have more money.
You can say it, Chispy. Go for it. Fight what you want to say.
But I think that's why he's doing
Okay.
it. If he's doing it just to hold the title, to serve the wave, this is not.
Meanwhile, there's still buzz around a potential wildcard entry into the heavyweight title picture. Alex Pereira, the Brazilian, already a two-division UFC champion, has been teasing a move to heavyweight with recent posts showcasing his bulked-up physique. Now weighing in at 243 pounds, Pereira looks physically prepared to test himself in a new division. He's openly floated the idea, and fans have been quick to speculate about a possible jump. A clash between Pereira and Aspinall would be of the most dangerous strikers in the sport colliding, but for now, that possibility is on hold. Pereira is still expected to pursue a rematch with Magomed Ankalaev, the man who took his light heavyweight title at UFC 313. Until that rivalry is settled, a move to heavyweight remains purely speculative.
The idea of Pereira versus Aspinall. We know Aspinall will do it. He already tried at 300. We know Pereira will do it. He has a chance to set history. Champ is not likely to ever happen to any of us. Again, there's a really big population that wants to see Jon Jones versus Pereira. There's a really big population that would rather see Jon Jones versus Aspinall. The winner of Ankalaev Rachik is going to take on Pereira, okay? Whatever your
Still,
level of
it
excitement.
only adds to the growing noise surrounding the division, noise that Tom Aspinall is deliberately distancing himself from. While others posture and tease potential moves, he's focused on action, taking real fights, defending his title, and building a legacy through substance, not speculation. His approach stands in sharp contrast to Dana White's current promotional strategy, which leans heavily on superfights, star power, and spectacle over merit, like the proposed White House card centered around big knee returns. But Aspinall isn't interested in chasing hype or waiting until next year to compete. He's not building his career around Jon Jones's unpredictable decisions, and he's clearly done being strung along by what ifs and
Tom
delays.
Aspinall, but this time at the White House. I told you guys that Jon Jones was playing chess, not checkers, this entire time. Someone just tweeted this at Jon Jones saying, ducking Tom Aspinall, ? Best decision you ever made, ? Jon responded, choosing when to attack and where you want the battlefield to be is not ducking, my friend. Try telling every single one of you that Jon Jones was never ducking Tom Aspinall. Very clear here that
For
Jon
months,
Jones...
Tom Aspinall was dragged into debates about who the real heavyweight champion was, especially while Jon Jones remained inactive yet retained the title. But that narrative should have ended when Jones stepped away and the UFC officially crowned Aspinall instead. When Jones reversed his retirement, the UFC allowed the confusion to quietly linger. Now fully aware of the promotional game being played, Aspinall wants no part of it. While he's stepping out of the circus, Jon Jones, who has made it clear he still plans to target whoever holds the belt. Both Jones and Conor McGregor recently confirmed in person that they will end their hiatuses to compete on the UFC White House card. spectacle being hyped as a historic moment in combat sports. For Jones, his return was only solidified after President Donald Trump announced he would host the first ever UFC fight card on the South Lawn of the White House, turning the event into a political and promotional
How do you think that would have gone? Aspinall-Jon Jones. Aspinall-Jon Jones. Prime versus Prime.
Prime, I'll go Jon Jones.
Really?
So, yeah, 100%.
You wouldn't even give Tom a go?
No. Like I said, I rate Jon Jones highly. I believe that he's the best to ever do it. And Tom is for now, he's the guy now, you know what I mean?
But if they would have fought, then do you think that Tom had a strong chance because of the timing?
Yeah.
And fighting's always about timing.
Jon Jones had previously vacated the heavyweight title, citing frustration over failed negotiations with Tom Aspinall and dissatisfaction with the UFC's offer. But the moment the White House card became official, he quickly reversed that retirement. Speaking publicly, Jones hinted that a championship bout could still be in play, though he avoided naming Aspinall directly as his opponent. His wording was vague but clearly suggestive. He stated that he wants to fight whoever holds the belt at the end of the year, acknowledging that, for now, that's Tom Aspinall still. He stopped short of issuing a direct challenge. Instead, Jones leaned into the patriotic narrative, suggesting that having an American defend the nation's honor on the White House stage would be fitting, subtly positioning himself as the symbolic hero of a historic event rather than committing to the toughest match.
White House UFC fight. What do you think about that?
I think it's exciting. Very exciting.
Can we expect to see you on the card?
I can't promise anyone anything, but I have very strong feelings that I'll be on that card.
But who would you take on? Who would be your dream opponent?
I would want to take a year.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Any possible names you think?
But I mean, as of right now, the champion is Tom Aspinall. We'll see who's the champion.
The lack of clarity surrounding Jon Jones's true intentions only reinforces Tom Aspinall's recent public stance. He's done chasing anyone, especially Jones. Aspinall is already preparing to defend his belt, most likely against Ciryl Gane, after Jailton Almeida signed to fight Alexander Volk. He's not waiting for a White House invitation or decoding Jones's next cryptic social media post. He's moving forward, while the rest of the division continues to swirl in the politics and pageantry tied to the UFC's most ambitious proposed event. Meanwhile, Conor McGregor, who hasn't fought since 2021 following a devastating leg injury against Dustin Pereira, has officially thrown his name into the mix. He confirmed that he's back in the USADA testing pool and is actively aiming to compete on the White House card. Speaking directly to fans, McGregor emphasized that he's not just teasing a return, he's fully committed, boldly declaring, "Get ready and stay ready, because damage will be done." Oval Office, White House Garden. For a fighter long synonymous with the UFC's most iconic moments, the prospect of McGregor fighting on the White House lawn only adds more fuel to an already blazing hype train.
Not retired anymore? Is he tired anymore? Is he back?
You jump back in the pool, so.
How sick is that for you that now you kind of got this White House event for them and it's like, I feel like this is what brings...
No matter who popped up or who didn't or whatever, we would have put on an incredible card.
What would be the dream main event?
The dream main event right now would be Aspinall versus Jones.
Is it possible that McGregor and Jones would fight on the same card?
Dana White has been aggressively fueling the hype around the White House card, telling the media that he's already toured the White House grounds with Trump's staff and is actively working with his team on logistics and set design. According to White, the demand to appear on the card has been overwhelming. "Everybody wants to be on this card," he said. "You don't even want to know who's blowing up my phone." The vision he's crafting is nothing short of monumental, a fighting stage set against the backdrop of the White House, with the Washington Monument towering behind it. For White, this isn't just another UFC event, it's a historic moment in American sports, a spectacle designed to blend combat, patriotism, and unprecedented pageantry into one unforgettable
Tom
night.
Aspinall hesitate a little bit. And look, Tom would be the favorite in that fight. But if you don't think Derek Lewis has a shot to shut Tom Aspinall's lights out and steal that belt, not only be the knockout king, but add undisputed heavyweight world champion to his list, there's nothing more he needs. That would be the absolute fight to make for Tom Aspinall while he waits for the UFC White House card and hopefully gets Jon Jones after that. Now, again, it's easier to talk about getting a fight with Derek Lewis than it is to actually win it.
Beneath all the grandeur, several prominent UFC voices have begun to question what the White House card truly means for fighters like Tom Aspinall and what it reveals about the UFC's current matchmaking priorities. Stipe Miocic, the former heavyweight king, has been vocal in stating he only wants one fight. Jon Jones. Miocic was originally slated to face Jones at UFC 295, but that bout was cancelled due to Jones's shoulder injury. That setback opened the door for Aspinall to step in and win the interim title against Sergey Pavlovich. Since then, The logical expectation has been for Jones and Aspinall to unify the belts. Instead, the UFC continues to float the idea of Jones versus Myasic, bypassing the actual champion and fueling understandable frustration for Aspinall, who has done everything right but remains sidelined by spectacle.
He's like the longest running heavyweight champion in the history of the UFC, isn't he? But he's only like he hasn't fought anyone. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen. You know, I think John gets a lot of money being champion. I think the sponsors not paying him a fortune, and I think he's just dragging along, keeping the belt as long as possible because it's worth that much money to him. I mean, John's often struggled with tall people who are good boxers. I imagine he probably
highlights the growing tension between pure competition and entertainment in today's UFC, despite doing everything asked of him, stepping in on short notice, knocking out a top contender, and preparing to defend his belt. Aspinall continues to be treated like an optional piece rather than a central figure. The UFC seems to be prioritizing legacy matchups, star power, and media spectacle over consistent meritocracy. A fight like Jones versus Myasic sells. Pair that with Jones and McGregor on the same card, and it becomes a promotional goldmine. And Aspinall, while widely recognized as an elite talent, he's still positioned as second tier in promotional value, overshadowed by the star power of names like Jones and McGregor when the cameras start.
Jon Jones is going to go that fight. He went back into the testing. But Tyler and I debated because he hasn't fought 4 freaking years.
Yeah. I would still pick him over whoever they would charge.
Screwed.
Right. Well, Aspinall's
he waits
champ now. Right.
Yeah, he's the champ, but he hasn't.
No, but I would assume that if Aspinall is successful.
Other fighters and insiders have begun weighing in on the unfolding saga. Daniel Cormier has taken a firm stance, publicly stating that Jon Jones should either fight or step aside. However, others offer a more nuanced perspective, suggesting that Jones's hesitation may be part of a broader negotiation tactic. With McGregor now officially locked in, the pressure is intensifying to secure Jones, arguably the most dominant fighter in UFC history, as a co-headliner for what the UFC envisions as its most watched event ever. Dana White's ambition for the White House card to become a historic spectacle only raises the stakes, making Jones's presence more crucial than ever, and possibly giving him the leverage to delay, maneuver, and shape the terms of his return.
Dana White said the last thing Dana said was, Kyle was asking him what would be his dream card, and he said Jones versus Aspinall, Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. He thought that would be the perfect one. And the guy started talking about this, Kyle means, and Dana goes, the UFC landscape will have changed by then. We got a whole year. Hey, initially we thought
I don't want to fight. You can have it. This is unbelievable. The greatest of all time. What a load. I'm sorry. Never going to call that him the GOAT. Ever again. Because being the greatest of all time is not just about winning. And that's what Jon Jones doesn't understand. It's about how you conduct yourself throughout the whole of your career. Are you willing to fight the biggest challenges, the biggest tests, go in there and test yourself?
Derek Lewis are quietly waiting in the wings. While not yet confirmed for the White House card, Lewis recently delivered a highlight reel knockout and remains one of the UFC's most popular heavyweights in the US market. If Jon Jones declines to face Tom Aspinall or if Myasic is unavailable, Lewis could easily be slotted in as a replacement. Such a move would signal the UFC's willingness to prioritize star power and American-centric narratives over rankings or divisional consistency. For now, it's all speculation, but the very possibility underscores just how chaotic and unpredictable the current matchmaking landscape has become. Meanwhile, Conor McGregor's opponent remains a mystery. He's loosely linked himself to several big names: Islam Makhachev, Ilia Topuria, even Paddy Pimblett, but none of those fights have been signed. McGregor's recovery and overall readiness remain uncertain, yet Dana White doesn't seem concerned. His focus is on locking in star names, generating buzz, and finalizing the logistics. For him, the spectacle of the event comes first. Specific matchups will follow. So guys, please, subscribe to my channel for more updates and breaking news. Thank you.